Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to talk about lenses. It's been a little while since we kind of had a video on here talking about prime lenses specifically, and just figured I'd jump back into some. So today we have some Quick S4 minis, we have the TLS rehoused speed panchros, and then we have some of these Lomo round front anamorphics. And these have been modified with the Armacini orbitals, which is like this part here. And what that does is these lenses actually telescope when they focus, and the front optic actually turns. So if you have a matte box clamped onto that, it's just going to spin. So this actually will give you a solid mounting point for a clip-on matte box. And you can actually attach like a motor on here too, which is nice. So it gives you a lot of versatility and options for some old 1970s glass. So I guess I kind of thought about this topic because of an old interview that Rodger Deakins did for the movie Sicario, which he was the director of photography on. I believe it was like Filmmaker magazine. I'll post the link down below to read the article. It's very good. But Rodger Deakins is kind of like known for really leaning into like Aries lenses, and how over the years they make the most perfect lenses like in the world. Like you can't get better lenses, like as far as like crispness, clarity, like little to no flares, no focus breathing. And Rodger Deakins like fully embraces those. And so if you've seen 1917, you probably know too that those were recorded on the LF Mini with signature primes. I think they said they also went up to like a 50, between the stitches and all that. Maybe a 35 or something. But anyway, this wide range here, you get pretty funky characteristics out of these lenses. These are maybe somewhere in between, and these are flares, but they still look really good. Just kind of that classic S4 Cook look, with the minis, pretty much get you the same kind of look. So if you saw the last video I posted, we talked about the Tribe 7 Blackwing 7 lenses on LF Mini, and we had that in a handheld configuration running around a soccer field and on Steadicam. Very versatile, but the Blackwings are great lenses, fully tunable. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. We talked about customization, tunability of it. And even since then, they have like their skin tunings, which have very amber red flares, and apparently are just better for like skin tones and all that. Again, I think that's why I'm probably drawn to Cook lenses a lot, because they do lean a little bit warmer. So some of my favorite lenses out there are the TLS rehoused speed panchros. What is nice is like back then technologies with like how they constructed the lenses and even how they built the glass and the coatings on the glass was just a little different. And so when you hear people shooting with vintage lenses, you think specifically of like softer characteristics. You have halation, you might have some lens breathing, you might even have warping around the sides of the lens, maybe the center sharp. And so with these particular lenses, the center is much sharper, which looks great for portraits, of course, but there's just like that classic Cook look, that you've heard about so many times. They kind of dubbed that term from these speed panchro lenses, like the original speed panchros. So they have done a new revision, refresher, I guess. It's like a reconstruction, I guess. They try to mimic the old lenses into the new Cook Panchro Classics, is what they're called. The nice thing about those is that they're full frame. Only the 40, 50, and on up are full frame on the speed panchros. So they're some of the first lenses I go to for interviews. They look beautiful on portraits. The bokeh has like a nice bending characteristic in it, almost a little bit anamorphic, like just the way that it bends. But the center is still like sharp, but it's not overly sharp, And so I think TLS is one of the best out there for rehousing these. But yeah, there's just something about the image quality. Even the glass back then, they made it with thorium, which actually helps with the transmission of light passing through these optics, so they lose less light. And that's how they were able to achieve a 2.2 stop. That's pretty fast for like an old lens. To get super flavorful, these are the Lomo 2X anamorphic lenses. And so these were designed, of course, in the era of film, before digital was ever even imagined. Let's see, we have the 75, we have the 50, and then we have this 35, which the 35 is actually a square front. It's the sharpest square front that I could find out there. And there's a lot of these Lomo 35 square fronts out there. There's a lot of square front sets. You can find them pretty easily. It's almost like they're like version 1 of the Lomos. These were kind of version 2, the round fronts. And then you get to the Elite lenses, and those are more of like version 3. This glass, I believe, is from like the 70s. I forget the specific years. But if you have the serial numbers, you can actually look up when a lot of these manufacturers were making these lenses. And I believe this lens was made in like the 60s or so, like the optics of it. This one has been completely redone by Optitech in LA. And yeah, Jasek went through and cleaned all the optics and like freshened up the glue and just made it usable again. Because when you get these things, they look like this Canon FD lens, like it's like a still lens. You can cinemod these lenses, they're just very different. So if you have a cinemoded set, like Leica R lenses or something, again, beautiful glass, and they're being rehoused. But if you're swapping these lenses out, like this 85mm FD weighs drastically different than like a 35mm Canon FD, or like the 24mm, and even the 17. They're just all different shapes and sizes. So even if you do cinemod them, you're gonna have to reset your gears, and all that kind of takes some time on set. And if you're just hustling on set, you're gonna want to be able to just like pop a lens off like this on like a PL mount, like take that lens off, and like your gears are already lined up. And then whenever you throw, say, a 100mm lens on there, you put your PL mount, and then all your motors are all lined up already. So the time is just so precious, like, and it costs a lot of money when you go over. So your producers will not want you to go overtime. So to be able to swap lenses in a matter of seconds, instead of taking a minute or so to reset your motors and rebalance, and that minute becomes, anyway, yeah, you don't want to get into overtime on shoots. So back to these Lomo round front anamorphics. Why vintage glass? Why anamorphic glass? So going back to like 1953, there was a French engineer, and he was developing a lens that would allow you to get more information packed onto the celluloid strip as it went to the camera. And then in post-production, they could stretch that out, and basically it would like retain more information, and it would also fill up a cinema wall and look pretty great. But you can essentially get that same effect, but with like the digital sensors being as high definition as they are these days. Why do we need that? We don't actually need anamorphic lenses to get, the maximum quality. I mean, like a 16:9 sensor is like, you're getting 8K plus on those things. Like, they just look fantastic. But to my eye, like, I think they almost look too good. Like, I really like to me, I like cinema looking, artistic. I like it painterly, a little more obscure than reality would look. Like the documentary look is great. And you can definitely pull off spherical lenses, of course, and make it look like incredible. Like, of course, Christopher Nolan, IMAX, Batman, all of that looks so good. But for some of the movies that I just love, I've always been drawn to the anamorphic look, the 2X anamorphic look more specifically. Now, I do film a lot on Alexa Mini LF with Cook's like full frame anamorphics or other full frame anamorphics. Those are not really like 2X anamorphics, but they do look great. I mean, like the 1.3 ratio, the 1.5 ratios, they all look great. I just think that the 2X anamorphic just is where like the flavor is for me. I think that just does it. And the last thing about these lenses I really like, these specific Lomo round fronts, is that the Hawk C series anamorphics are built on these lenses. And I just have heard rumors and seen an X-ray, which was really revealing, that the optics in like 2 or 3 of the C series Hawks are the same optics, or at least they're laid out exactly in the same place and are exactly the same size. And the focus is exactly in the same place as the Lomo round fronts. And so I'm sure the coatings are a little different. I'm sure they like cleaned it up a little bit. These lenses can get a little messy when you flare them too much. So I'm sure like the Elites look a little bit cleaner, and they look fantastic too. So a little random fact here, I'm actually recording this video on the iPhone 15 Max Pro and with the hard drive hooked into it and all that. And I've never actually filmed anything really like on the iPhone besides like home videos or whatever, or like maybe scouting. But if you've seen Olivia Rodrigo's Get Him Back music video, that was all shot on iPhone. And then you have this movie, High Flying Bird, directed and shot by Steven Soderbergh, with an estimated budget of rumored to be around $2 million. And so he was able to shoot that, all these locations, all these actors, still get his very Soderbergh-y angles, and still make it look pretty good. I mean, in the low light, you definitely see the grain, the struggle. He definitely had to grade it darker, I'm assuming, to hide a lot of that grain. But he didn't have log. I don't even know if he was using ND filters. I don't know exactly what was going on. But it was definitely like a tripod iPhone situation, which kind of brings me to the fact that you could be shooting on Sony Venice, got your Reds, you got your Aries, you could have the sharpest glass, the funkiest glass, and you can still look terrible. like if you don't light it well. And also, if you're on these sets and you're with the wrong crew members, like if you don't have a good AC, your day's gonna be long. If you have a bad director, your day's gonna be long. But if you have a good DP and you give that DP a cell phone, they're gonna shoot something good with it. But if you even have like a very inexperienced DP and if you hand them a full Alexa Mini package, you might not get looking stuff. Like, it really comes down to the crew and who's around you, who's helping develop the story, of course, but who's helping to develop the image. Sound plays a huge part in it, your actors, of course. And so I know a lot of people who are probably watching this are so interested in film. I mean, I've loved film my entire life. And you just need to realize that, like, it's not the gear that's gonna make it look amazing. Gear definitely helps, but it really is the people behind the camera, the people that you never see. And really it comes down to like the art direction, the colors chosen to be on the screen, costumes, the color grading, you know, all of that. Right after recording this video, I actually had a commercial shoot in Colorado, and the client wanted just 2 or 3 like ski clips, and they were basically describing GoPro angles, but they wanted it to look better than a GoPro. And so I pitched them on the iPhone 15, hooked the hard drive up to it, and shot all this footage in ProRes 422 HQ. And it actually color graded really well. It matched our red Komodo footage that we had going with it. So our jobs are fun. We get to work with all these different tools, and if it's weddings or commercials or documentaries, whatever you're shooting, I hope you guys are just having fun along the way, and we'll see you on the next one.